Hello, today's webinar sponsored by Labor Performance will examine different pay-for-performance methodologies. The two performance methodologies that we are going to look at are linear gain sharing and performance thresholds. We will compare the mathematics behind each methodology as well as some advantages and disadvantages of each methodology. So basically, linear gain sharing is you start from a baseline performance standard, and for every increment above that performance standard, a proportion of that goes to the employee and a portion of that goes to the company as far as savings. Under performance thresholds, you start from the same baseline standard, but instead of giving incremental gains to both the company and the employee, you set thresholds where a windfall achievement is then rewarded to the employee. So for the first one, we'll look at the linear gain sharing method and show some of the mathematics of this and how it works. So what we'll do is we'll assume a baseline performance standard of 100% and a base wage of $15 per hour. The company will get 60% of the gain share and the employee will get 40%. So at a 90% performance level, there is no gain share because the employee did not achieve the production level. At 105%, the employee gets a 30-cent per hour bonus and the company saves 45 cents an hour in addition to the 30 cents. So basically a total of 75 cents an hour of value is created. 30 cents goes to the employee, 45 cents goes to the company. And then incrementally 110% and 125% breaks out accordingly. Under the threshold method, we'll set up a baseline of 100%. Base wage is $15, and again, we'll basically set it up where 60% at those thresholds goes to the company and 40% goes to the employee. But instead of doing an incremental gain share, what we're going to do is set performance thresholds. And our thresholds will be 110%, the employee gets a 60 cents windfall. At number 2 is 120%, the employee gets $1.20, and then at 130%, the employee gets $1.80. So it's actually at the same level as over here, but what this will do is we'll translate into more cost savings for the company under this threshold method. So if you see here at 90%, again, it's the same thing. No value is created, so no money is transferred to anybody. Now at 105%, the employee didn't hit the threshold, but the company picked up a 5% cost savings, so they saved 75 cents an hour. At 110%, the employee gets their threshold of 60 cents, but the company now has saved 90 cents per hour. And then at 125%, the employee gets a $1.20 bonus because they hit the threshold number 2, but the company saves $2.55. So under the threshold method, there's actually more savings to the company, but I'll also, in the next slide, we'll explore kind of some of the psychology behind these different methods. So here's a graphical representation of threshold versus linear gain sharing. So the red line here is linear gain sharing based on whatever percent allocation. If you win 100% allocation to the employee, that would be this top line here. So that means everything above of a certain level, the employee is just basically working for piece rate. Under the threshold method, the employee gets steps in their bonus levels. So what the company picks up as additional savings is the area under the curve between the step and the red line. So a threshold method can save the company a lot more money. Now what we found in our production operations that we've implemented our software is having set goals for the employees actually psychologically creates more levels of productivity. They tend to shoot for the next level. And we found that it is a better way of increasing overall productivity of the operation. When it's incremental, employees on a psychology level don't tend to push as hard. It's kind of like breaking the 4-minute mile barrier. When you're at 4 minutes and 5 seconds to go to 4 minutes and 4 seconds, it's no big deal. But to go from 4:05 to under the 4-minute level, psychologically, it's a huge barrier. And so by setting these thresholds at these different levels, you get a pretty high level of productivity. So under a linear gain share, the advantage is to the employees. They're getting incentives for every marginal gain over the baseline. It's generally considered the most equitable method for the operation, and it's pretty easy to understand and communicate for the employees. However, we believe the performance threshold is a better method for maximum cost savings, and actually on a psychology level, it drives productivity levels higher for the employees. Sets clear goals and benchmarks for employees to shoot for, and if properly set thresholds tend to lead to higher levels of productivity over linear methods. We don't have any empirical evidence to prove this, but on an observational level, between the various customers that have used both systems, we tend to find higher gains in productivity through performance thresholds. So this concludes today's webinar on the comparison of linear gain sharing to performance thresholds. Thank you.